Just don't look at me.
I'm not looking at you, I promise.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to, what is this, episode 6?
Think so.
I think it is. Episode 6 of Shaken Not Stirred. Spencer, happy Saturday.
Happy Saturday, Tristan. How are you?
I'm great. What's going on
We're
with you?
getting closer to 21.
Yeah, almost there, huh?
That's the number. That's the mark.
We're
I'm
getting
good, though. I'm good. I'm trying to shield myself from the biggest storm in history.
Oh, gosh. Don't even get me started with this, man.
What are the predictions?
I haven't looked too much into it, but, I mean, everyone's hysterical, especially down here by the beach.
Yeah.
They're saying there's going to be 30-foot waves off the coast right here in Newport. I'm like, I don't
That's
think people
big time.
realize what 30-foot waves are.
That's huge.
That is absolutely, like, the
A
biggest wave.
5-foot wave. When you're in the water, you're...
Oh, yeah. I'm like, I don't think people realize a 5-foot wave is probably the largest Newport's ever seen.
Yeah.
Right? I don't think there's any way we're getting to 30-foot waves. I would say maybe if the storm is strong enough when it gets here, maybe like 6, 7 foot, 7-footers. Like, people are going to be out there surfing. It's not going to be like, oh, you'd stay out of the water.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's...
It probably excites a lot of the surfers.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Rightfully so.
Yeah, if my dad was still in his 20s, he'd be out there tearing it up right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it is interesting, and obviously I think part of it is because California is not used to getting storms, especially around this time. So, I don't know. I think people are kind of overhyping it. It's a little...
Yeah.
Yeah.
The only thing I worry about when storms or major rain happens, like in Southern California, is two things. Number one, they both have to do with driving, though. Number one, a lot of people do not know how to drive in the rain.
A single drop of rain on the freeway causes chaos.
Yeah, and number two is in California, or any place for that matter, that does not get rain that often. When you get a bunch of rain, what they say happens is like the oils and the asphalt and, on the roads, like really comes up because it's not necessarily used to it.
Yeah.
And it gets really slick. So when you combine that in people that just don't know how to drive in it,
it's all bad.
Recipe for disaster. So, anyways, yeah, we'll see though. We will see. I mean, I don't mean to throw this in here, but I do. But I mean, it's kind of ironic that it's called Hurricane Hillary. I thought about that yesterday.
I have to send you this meme that I saw. Mark sent it to me, actually. Dude, it was so funny. Oh my gosh. Yeah. I'll send it to you later. But we actually have a standing bet in the family on this right now. So Phil and I think there's no shot we're getting more than 4 inches of rain. My mom and Phil's son Nathan, they think that we're going well over 4 inches. It's going to be a crazy, tropical wild storm. So we made a bet that the losing team owes the winners dinner. So, we'll see how that goes. Hopefully we get less than 4 inches and go get some Mastros, some steaks or something.
Well, what's the time cutoff? Do you guys have like a week or what?
However long the storm's going to be here. So.
Yeah.
I think it's only supposed to be here Sunday and Monday. So. Yeah,
I mean, I heard like 5 to 10 inches in certain places, but I mean, that is a ton.
That is
rain.
A lot of water. Yeah.
That's a ton.
Yeah.
So, you know what floods really bad is the Coachella Valley.
Really?
Floods really bad. Yeah,
okay.
Like there's some roads here, they'll kind of go like this. I mean, there's roads everywhere that do that.
Because you're in the middle of all those mountains, right? It just pours right down on you.
Yeah, but for some reason, like certain parts of it, I mean, it'll just flood like crazy. I remember growing up, and I used to have like an RC car, those really fast like Traxxas cars.
Yeah.
And I used to rip them around in the rain. And then my friend Jack, he always used to have the boats, the really fast little boats. And I mean, you're on the street, with your little boat going around the street. It's kind of fun, but
on the street.
Yeah. Oh yeah, because it was so flooded.
Oh, that's insane.
Yeah, they got flooded out of their house, like this, $3 million house, and
Oh,
ended up
wow.
ruined the whole house. They were displaced for, I mean, in another house,
I'm
obviously,
sure they
but
had to redo walls, redo carpet, all that
everything.
stuff, right?
It made them sell the house. Like it took
Oh, wow.
forever. So they redid the whole thing, remediation and all of that, and then they sold it. But yeah, I don't know why. I mean, floods are real bad here, but
Yeah.
I hope not. A lot of the fire stations are they're handing out sandbags.
Okay.
So
Like
like I'll be gone. I'll be
filling
gone
their
this.
driveways and stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I'll be gone this week. So I'm probably gonna go get some like for my mom while I'm gone. She's
Smart.
had like four flood, not from rain, but like four floods in the house in the last like 2 years, and I mean
Oh,
bad floods. I know. So
that sucks.
hopefully that doesn't happen again while I'm gone.
Where are you headed?
Going to the beach area with a niece and her family.
Mm.
Yeah, for like a week.
Okay,
So
that's right. I did hear you
yeah,
guys were going to be down here.
yeah.
We'll have to
So
chat about that after
yeah,
we wrap this up.
absolutely.
Um,
Yep.
so
On
yeah, I don't know. I think when this is something Phil and I were talking about, when everyone's hysterical about it, it's probably not going to be a bad deal, right? If you've got a
yeah,
handful of people that are, super into weather and super intelligent that are saying, it could be bad
hmm
and you should possibly stay home, then maybe you should. But
yeah,
when literally every single person out here is freaking out about it, especially because we're right on the water, and again, no one's used to it.
right.
So I think they're just. I mean, it's not bad to be overly prepared, but I'm not worried about it.
Yeah,
I'm still gonna go golfing tomorrow, so
that'll be fun. Hopefully it rains.
I hope it does too. That'll be cool.
Yeah, yeah. So on another note, we brought this up, I think, briefly last week, maybe even the week before, which is the infamous Barstool Sports
Yes,
and
like
everything that's
Dave.
going on. Yeah, I know Dave Portnoy. He's a legend, and I love that guy. But
Dude, his pizza reviews are great.
I know. I went to two of his pizza, like pretty high rated, like high seven pizza
In
places.
Boston,
Yeah,
really? Were they?
yeah.
Did they live up to the hype?
One of them, honestly, no,
Really?
not good.
Is it?
I don't know if it was like an old pizza review he did, because when you
Yeah.
watch like those old ones, they're super high rated. But
Yeah.
the other one was good. The other one was good. But I'm
Maybe,
also, huh?
or doesn't his favorite one, or like the one with the highest scores in Boston, right? Or no? Is it somewhere else?
I think it's in New York.
Okay.
Could be wrong, but I think it is.
Yeah.
But I also like the Neapolitan type of pizzas,
Like
when
Italian brick
yeah.
oven.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the kind of pizza I really like. Kind of your American like thicker crust pizza. Like I just doesn't do anything for me.
Yeah.
But anyway, so like Barstool Sports, which we all know does a myriad of things. From everything they do is probably hilarious.
Yeah.
They're wild, they're out of control, but they go from sports betting to gosh,
Interviews.
yeah, I mean, like podcasts. So
Yeah.
I mean, they've got some of the biggest podcasts like in the world.
For sure.
Barstool does.
Hmm.
And actually, what they used to do was they had a radio station where it was like a 24-hour play, and they had all of these podcasts. They weren't podcasts yet, and this was a while ago, like early in the podcast game. But they had a radio station that was just playing the different kind of people that they had constantly 24 hours.
It was probably like considered talk shows back then, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was like a talk show. But
Yeah.
then they started, I mean, people started to kind of see this podcast thing. They took everything off, put it into podcast, and then you had like Call Her Daddy, right? Like that one, which was
Yeah.
huge. And then it was a big thing there. And then Pat
What's the other guy? Is
McAfee.
it Caleb Presley? Is that his name?
Yes.
Yeah,
Oh my
dude.
God.
Oh my gosh.
So funny. He's
His
hilarious.
skits. Oh god.
No, he's really funny. And then like, Pat McAfee, the kicker.
Mm-hmm.
So he was with Barstool for like 2 years.
Yeah.
And he was with 2 years, and now he just did a deal with ESPN. I don't know if you saw that, but he did
Mhm.
$30 million a year. Pat McAfee, $30
Oh.
million bucks a year with ESPN talk show. Crazy, man.
That's
It's
insane.
awesome.
Holy-
I know, really, really cool. So all in all, I mean, Barstool's like created, whether they're with them or not, but they've given a platform to some major voices kind of in the podcast / sport world. But what's really interesting is, the big news right now is, Dave Portnoy, who's, I don't know, worth probably, my guess is between 3 and 400 million. I don't even know how much of the company he owned when they first sold it. They sold it in 2 tranches. So we'll talk about that.
He sold 50% the first, because he was a sole owner, right? Or no?
I don't know. I think he's the sole owner, or at least he was until that first point. So, basically, the headline right now is that Penn Entertainment, which is a big casino, sports betting, sports gambling company, they've been really pushing towards like expanding the company as a whole. So I saw this other thing. In the next couple of years, they are expecting their EBITDA, which like EBITDA is supposed to be over $1 billion. I mean, they're huge, which is like so weird to think about. Over $1 billion. Yeah.
That's
so
insane.
Penn Entertainment, which is casino, sports gambling, they in 2020 bought a 36% stake in Barstool for $163 million.
Yeah.
So I think at that time, he probably owned 100%. So he's got 163, assuming it's all cash, 163 million bucks in the bank.
Right.
Right.
And then he still owns the other half of Barstool, right?
Yep. Yeah. So then 2021, Penn, so again, they hold 36%. 2021, they launched, which I am not familiar with because I'm just not like big on the sports fantasy football type thing, but they launched Barstool Sportsbook, which is like a mobile app throughout the U.S. And made it available in about, I think, 12 states.
Yeah.
So then in February of this year,
all the major betting states, so like New York, what's it called? Nevada, Arizona, stuff like that.
Yeah. Right. So then, think like FanDuel. What's the other one? DraftKings,
there you go,
stuff like that. Both of those companies, I think DraftKings has 36% of the OSB is online sports betting. So they own 36% of, not own, but they have 36% of the total market. And then I think DraftKings has, or whatever the other one is, has about 30%. So they make up a big percentage of it. But basically, February this year, Penn went in and bought the rest of Barstool for $390 million.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the guy he's put over, 400 million in his pocket, basically. So he's super rich. But everybody knows, like, when you think Barstool, you think Portnoy, right? And Dave Portnoy, he's the founder. It started off as like this newspaper, basically, back, I think, when he graduated college or when he was in college, and they loved drinking, partying, and talking about sports and talking shit about sports teams and
straight frat bros. Frat bro stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, East Coast, Boston, know, the whole thing. So
pizza and beer.
Yeah. So basically what happened, that was step one, is they purchased Barstool in 2 separate tranches. Dave Portnoy, who is the face and the legs of Barstool, basically, is now removed from the equation. And so, now they say, okay, well, let's get into OSB. So that's what they did with Barstool Sportsbook. ESPN, who everybody knows, has been wanting, which you think about it, it's probably like the biggest, when you think sports media, it's ESPN.
ESPN, yeah.
But they've never been in sports betting.
Yeah.
So ESPN over the past couple of years has been wanting to get into OSB, online sports betting. Penn purchases 36%. They create Barstool Sportsbook, which what happens is, this whole betting, gambling world, in terms of the regulatory environment of that world is like really tough.
Oh yeah.
From state to state. So Penn created Barstool Sportsbook. They're knocking on doors around the country of regulators saying, hey,
make this legal.
We just bought this thing. We just created it. It's going to be huge. Barstool is huge.
Yeah.
And, let's do this thing. All the regulators are basically giving them pushback because they have compliance problems. And they're going, what do you mean we have compliance problems? And he goes, well, you don't own all of Barstool, first of all. Yeah. Second of all, these Barstool guys are freaking nuts.
Yeah.
They're just, I mean, they're just
Okay, who
nutcases.
owns the rest of it, right?
Yeah, I
Or
mean,
who works there?
they're crazy. They've got all these different podcasts where they talk about fantasy football. Are the refs drunk? Are the refs cheating? Are the coaches cheating? You know, all this stuff. And when you're
Yeah.
in the sports betting world and gambling, you can't do that.
Yeah.
Like you cannot do that. So
Right.
Penn
It's just going to
is
cause mayhem. Yeah.
so now Penn is panicking and they're going, well, holy crap! I mean, we
What do we
had this
do?
plan. We sunk a bunch of money into it, you
Yeah.
know, and now we can't really do anything. So they go, okay, you know, we'll be right back. And basically they start going, okay, who could purchase our OSB platform basically? Well, who wants to get into the space? ESPN.
ESPN.
ESPN wants to get in. So Penn goes to ESPN and they say, listen, we'll give you 100 million a year for 10 years plus 500 million of warrants. And warrants basically means you can buy more. It's like a ticket to buy more.
Mm-hmm.
They go back to the regulators because, you know, you think ESPN versus Barstool. ESPN is very organized, kind of straight lines. Barstool is the opposite. There are no lines. Like there's no boundaries. They're just crazy.
Mm-hmm.
So Penn kind of sets up the deal with ESPN. They go back to the regulators and the regulators say, okay, this is obviously better, but what are you going to, you still have these Barstool guys. What are you going to do about them? They're all nutcases.
Yeah.
Penn goes, we'll be right back. They go back to Portnoy and they say, basically,
We want you to take Barstool back.
buy it back for $1. You effectively, on all the legal documentation, you have 100% control of the company, 100% control of the board. It's yours, $1. But, you know, they slide the paper across, sign this option, which basically says if he sells in the future, they get 50% of the total proceeds of the sale, which if you've been watching like him since this all happened, the first thing he said was what?
He's like, I'm not selling it, right?
I'm never going to sell.
Yeah.
Because who are you going to sell to? Like realistically, when you are the face, like when you've got a company and you want to sell your company, like rule number one is that company cannot be reliant on you unless you're going to remain, you know, the CEO basically for X period of time. And then you'll kind of
think about Elon, right? Like Tesla would not be
exactly
where Tesla is without his face. If he stepped down right now, that stock would probably tank $100 per share. You know,
yeah, for sure. So basically, they say if you ever sell, we get 50%. The other thing is, Dave, you can never do OSB again, or talk bad about us or ESPN. So that takes Barstool completely out of the sports betting world, which is really interesting. Which, you know, I think overall, I think it was a really good deal, like for both sides, honestly, because what did Penn do? Well, they must have taken a loss because they bought it for, you know, all in like 600 million.
Yeah.
But then they sold it for $1. Wait, what does that mean? No, they didn't. They did a $2 billion, you know, basically a $2 billion deal with ESPN. So everybody wins, which is really rare. Dave gets the company back. Next 5 to 10 years, it's going to be amazing. So
for sure.
It is crazy, but I mean, you don't see this, you know, I don't think you see this that often, but like I told you when we first heard about this, you know, you gotta hang around the hoop, right? Because sometimes companies, they buy the company, they think they know what they're going to do with it. And when you buy it, it's a very different environment that you're operating in. And
for sure,
sometimes the ball doesn't make it through the hoop. It's going to bounce down. And if you're there for the rebound, you can pick it up. And Dave was. So, I mean, kudos to him. I mean, what a legendary move.
That's pretty awesome. Yeah, like
it's incredible.
The second I saw that Dave got Barstool back, I was like, what on earth is going on here?
Yeah, unbelievable. So
it's definitely a good story for him. He's going to have to write a book or something. I'm sure he will.
Yeah, I mean...
but going back to, like you said, he can't do... Well, not he, but Barstool can't do OSB, right?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe... You know, they got into it, but maybe they weren't ever supposed to, you know, be the big OSB company.
Yeah.
Right? And I think they are more commentators, disruptors, like just, again, like the crazy kid on the block.
Yeah.
Just having fun, talking smack. You get what I'm saying. But
oh, yeah, for sure.
I feel like that's kind of their niche and their role in the industry, because that's how they caught so much attention to grow Barstool to where it is, because of how rowdy they are.
Yeah, but
And
you know who? Yeah, sorry,
you're good. I was just gonna say they fit into people our age. You know what I mean?
for
It's
sure.
no longer the ESPN suit and tie.
Yeah,
Just like
right.
super orderly. It's chaotic, and
Yeah,
I feel like especially our generation, we kind of respect and like that kind of stuff.
yeah, for sure. But you know who should, frankly, be shitting their pants right now? You know who that is? Guess. Who do you think that is, based on the whole story?
Oh, I don't know, honestly.
DraftKings and that other company.
Oh,
Now you have
now
ESPN in that world.
ESPN, yeah,
They're getting $100 million a year. It's like a $2 billion all in with $500 million of warrants.
yeah.
Holy crap!
No, for sure. And I
I mean,
guarantee you there was some back end deals that ESPN was trying to work with DraftKings and um, what was it,
oh yeah,
FanDuel or
yeah,
whatever, and they probably were like, nah, no, 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 we don't want any of that. And now that they own their own OSB, it's probably I agree. They're probably
yeah. I
crap.
mean that will be very interesting to see that play out. I have a feeling, I don't know, 3 to 5 years down the road, there's probably going to be some massive acquisitions going on
Oh yeah.
because, I mean, I don't know. I'm assuming that if let's say DraftKings and what was the other one? DraftKings and uh,
MGM has their own too.
so that's what
But
I
I
was going to
think
say. So
MGM is
like,
big enough.
yeah, but that's what I was going to say is like DraftKings and like FanDuel. I don't know the other name. I
Yeah,
can't remember.
FanDuel's definitely one of them. I've heard the
Okay,
name.
so like they own collectively 66% of the market. The other part of it is made up by, like you said, MGM and one other big, casino brand out there.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, I just have a feeling that ESPN is going to make a huge move because, today I think this sports betting world is, or the industry is about like a $1.6 billion industry.
Yeah.
Um, but it's gone from like nothing to like 1.6 over the course of, I don't even know, 5 to 10 years, which is crazy because all these sports teams were saying, well, all the memorabilia of DraftKings, it's like advertised everywhere in all these stadiums. That was a big problem for a lot of these teams before because the whole thing about coaches and
Yeah.
players betting and things like that going on. That was a really touchy topic, but
Sure.
they've opened up to that and it's just taken off. But I think that now that ESPN is in there, and it'll be interesting. It'll be really interesting.
Most definitely. And I totally had something to add to this right now, but now I'm blanking on it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't
Just...
know. I'm also very excited to see. I will preface it with, I never paid like a ton of. I'm not a diehard Barstool guy,
mm-hmm.
but I mean, you see the little short clips on like YouTube and stuff. I think all that is just hilarious. I just think it's so genius. I mean, it's niche. Nobody else could do it.
You just reminded me to continue with this. Did you hear about YouTube purchasing all the NFL? Like, I don't know what kind of package or whatever they made a deal with, but YouTube is going to be airing all the NFL games this year.
Really?
Yeah. Huge move for YouTube. Because
Wow.
I mean, they've been trying to grow YouTube TV for the last, probably 3-4 years,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And usually it's just movies and stuff like that on there. But yeah, I had heard, we'll have to look into it, but I had heard they put together a deal that they are going to be airing all the NFL games. And I'm wondering how that's going to work because usually there's only one program that airs it. So, like, Amazon Prime Video, they do Thursday Night Football. They got the Thursday
Yeah.
Night Football package, so they air all the Thursday night games throughout the
Yeah.
season. I don't know how it's going to work because ESPN Plus, they usually have the NFL games.
So basically, what they're trying to do, I mean, is this what you would call like kind of the streaming world? Like that's kind of what they're getting into.
Precisely, yeah.
I think that's a race right now because
Oh,
Hulu, I think, does all the MLB. I think Hulu also does UFC.
do they?
I think Hulu does UFC as well.
Okay.
Um, I could be wrong, so don't
I
put that
know
in
Hulu had
stone. But
NFL for a while, and that's why they had what's his name? Uh, Baker Mayfield.
yeah,
He was like a big poster boy for
oh,
them.
that's right.
Got
That's right.
drafted, yeah. I mean, those commercials were pretty funny, but regardless, I think they had a bunch of the NFL games for a while, but they ended up losing them.
Yeah.
And I had just heard that YouTube picked it up, so good for them. Kudos.
Yeah.
See
But I
how that
mean,
works out too.
you have your Hulu, you have Netflix, right?
Mm-hmm.
Different focus, but it's all streaming. You got Disney Plus,
Disney Plus, yeah.
which I heard something about Disney Plus recently. I think they're trying to increase Bob Iger since he came in as CEO. I think they're trying to increase the overall price of Disney Plus or something like that. I don't remember.
Really.
But no, the streaming world is interesting,
Mm-hmm.
super interesting, and I
Well,
just think,
Prime Video too. That's all streaming as
yeah,
well.
Prime
By the
Video. But
way, not to go on another tangent. Did you
yeah,
see Billions season 7 came out?
no, I didn't.
Do you watch Billions? You've seen it, right? Or
So
no?
I watched quite a bit of it
Okay.
with Corbin, years ago, but I
Yeah.
never got into it. If you guys don't know this about me, Succession, I have just started it again,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
The seventh time. I just have it playing on the
Mhm.
background of my yeah. I just have it playing on the background of my computer like while I work
What?
sometimes, but that's my show. I've got
Yeah.
my hat right over there, my Waystar Royco hat, and that's my show. But Billions, I'm not saying it's not like a. I'm not saying I didn't like it, but I didn't get into it. I have a feeling I would if I started it over again, but I didn't get
Yeah.
into it as much as I did Succession. But
It's not,
a
I
lot of
don't
people
think
are
it's as
opposite that way.
realistic as Succession. I think
Yeah,
Succession's more realistic. It feels, when I first started watching Succession, it was like, um, I kind of thought, this acting is horrible, but
hmm
I think they're acting in a way to where it feels real and not scripted,
yeah,
which I really ended up respecting that, and it became one of my favorite shows by
yeah,
far. But I still, Billions is just fun. Just
yeah.
the scheming, the games being played, it's super enjoyable. So if you're into it, season 7 just started last weekend. So
I know. And one of our buddies was in or is in New York. Was on Wall Street, and I
yeah.
saw all. Did you see all the signs for Billions?
All the billion
It's
signs,
pretty
yeah.
cool.
Hmm.
Have you ever walked Wall Street? Like actually walked the street
Yeah,
there?
I did when I was super young, but yeah, I honestly I couldn't envision it. I couldn't remember it off the top of my head, but
I would love to do that. I've been to New York twice. I still have not done that. I'd love to do that.
yeah, I
That'd be cool.
most of the time that I've been to New York, I've only gone in the winter time first off, so it's usually snowing, which I think is
Yeah,
the best time to go.
yeah.
It's like I mean, I think everyone can agree with this. It's a
It's also
nasty, dirty city.
Christmassy, and it's like really
Yeah,
cool in New
the
York.
super cool thing about Christmas is it doesn't smell as bad as the summer or spring.
Yeah.
It seems a little bit cleaner because the snow covers stuff on the
Hmm.
ground. And then yeah, the Christmas vibe out there with all the lights and
Yeah.
all the window ornaments and stuff. It's so cool, and I absolutely love it. But we should plan a trip and go sometime,
I know. It'd be
guys.
super
Yeah,
fun.
it'd be fun.
It
Uh,
would be fun.
but yeah, well, great shows. Recommend Succession.
Yeah.
I When did that show start?
You know what? Interesting you ask that. I was trying to remember the first time that I tried watching it, and I
Mm.
can't remember. I don't know when it was or where. I mean, obviously, I think it was during COVID.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, I don't know. I think it was a little while ago. Actually, I'll look that up.
because
Um,
I didn't watch it until Cade, our ex roommate, when he
2018.
that's when it started.
Holy cow! Yeah,
Wow.
2018.
Yeah, I didn't watch it until literally probably the beginning of this year. I just
Wow.
binged
Yeah.
maybe end of last year and beginning of this year.
Yeah.
Yeah, great show though. I absolutely loved it.
I love the. I think it's so hard to beat the interaction between Tom and Greg.
Oh, dude,
I mean, it is so funny. Every time I
comical.
watch it, it gets funnier because you understand the characters more.
Yeah,
Holy crap.
comical.
So funny.
Well,
Yeah,
uh,
so I heard through the grapevine that your old boss,
I was just about to bring that up. I was
your
gonna
old
say,
boss
speaking of
challenged
billionaires.
some tech giant
Yeah.
whiz to fight in the Coliseum. What's the update on that? And who was your old
Um,
boss?
what's up?
Who was your old boss?
My old boss. I think his name's last name rhymes with Husk. But yeah, Elon Musk challenged Mark Zuckerberg to a cage match, which we're going to see if it happens or not. I think it'd be pretty interesting and fun.
Yeah.
And they're going to make a whole bunch of money on it that's all going to go to charity.
Yeah, which is cool. Which is really cool.
Which is awesome. And I mean, you have to expect that from people like that. They've got enough that, they don't need it. When you've got, McGregor guys fighting from the streets that come up and they go fight Floyd Mayweather, they need that. Oh, maybe not need that money, but they need a portion of it, right?
Yeah, for sure.
But these guys don't need it. They'll do it for fun and for ego, and then just donate the proceeds. But I saw, pretty much for anyone that doesn't know how it started, a couple months ago, maybe two months ago or so. I want to say it was June or July. Zuckerberg and Instagram/Meta came out with a competing app to Twitter, now known as X, and it's called Threads, which I'm a big Elon guy, so I have not downloaded Threads nor looked into it at all much, but everyone, joke on the internet is Zuck copy and pasted the Twitter code and pretty much just made Threads exactly like Twitter. And so Elon, being Elon, hopped on X/Twitter and was calling out Zuck, saying he's a phony and a copycat, whatever, blah, blah, blah. And it led to Musk saying, I challenge you to a cage match.
Can you imagine like Rockefeller and Carnegie? I mean,
oh my gosh, dude, could you imagine? They would
never think about this stuff.
Yeah. Except their cage matches would be brutal back then, just...
Well, they'd probably duel in the street. or they'd hire people and assassins are running around everywhere. Exactly, those guys were ruthless.
Oh my gosh, just savages. Love it, though.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I think everything's kind of in limbo right now. I honestly couldn't tell you if it is going to happen or if it's not.
Yeah.
I think it would be hilarious and cool for it to happen. Hilarious because it would be super enjoyable to watch two of the biggest names on the planet, who one has zero fighting experience, to go in a cage and
wait, which one?
No,
Elon.
Elon doesn't have any fighting experience.
Okay, but I will say, have you ever heard him talk about his childhood?
No.
Growing up in South Africa, because South Africa was like brutal.
Yeah.
And he grew up, and there's this one older video of him talking about. No, it's not older. It was on a podcast, actually. I don't know which podcast, but it was growing up in South Africa, which is just like a super violent environment, depending on where you are. I mean, it's real violent.
Yeah.
And but he said he used to fight all the time when he was a kid, really? Having to kind of defend himself because he was always a little different.
I did hear about that. Yeah.
And he said he fought all the time. So I mean, when you get a guy like that who's a dog because he had to be,
right?
Sometimes, and he's also, don't forget, he's 6'4", 200 and.
Yeah, I think he's like 6'3".
Yeah, 6'3". I mean, he's a huge guy.
30 pounds probably.
Yeah.
Okay, and I get that, right? But, and I know martial arts pretty well. Yeah. It's not all about size,
and you and I both know that very well. Yeah.
When I started. I don't think I've talked about this story on here at least, but I probably told you when my first time at Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, my first time going to a gym and trying it out, they put me against a black belt. His name was Aziz. He had 18 years of doing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, just an absolute stud, right? Mm-hmm. He probably weighed 160 pounds soaking wet.
Yep.
I'm about 205, consider myself to be fairly strong, strong enough to hold my own. And so I went in, we've grown up watching UFC and understanding martial arts to some degree. I went in knowing, okay, I know I can technically overpower this guy, but that's not necessarily a good strength to have here because he's got all the technique and the mind games from 18 years of battle pretty much.
And he's going to let you do that because it's not sustainable.
For sure. And I learned that really quick.
Yep.
Within 2 minutes of being on the mat with him,
Yeah.
he already had me tapped out.
Yep.
And that's because I was like, he grabbed me over here, so I'm fighting this off, using all my strength to fight that off, and then he hits me with a move the other way, and it's like it was all a mind game. It's just like play with someone over here, and then oh yeah, you think I'm going this way, but I'm really going that way.
Yeah.
And I think that's one thing that I love about BJJ is it is like true down to the core. You learn about humanity and reaction, and it is a true tester of the human mind for sure. And you can certainly learn how people even act in the business world, or in sports, all kinds of stuff, just by studying martial arts in general, but especially BJJ.
Well, it literally doesn't matter what you do or how old you are. Like, I mean, truly, it does not matter how old you are. Like, so the guys that I've trained with since I was 9 years old, they were both, the older brother was like a professional Muay Thai fighter over in Thailand, which you and I have done Muay Thai together.
Brutal.
If you don't know what Muay Thai was, first I'll spell it for you. It's Muaythai. Look it up. It is I mean, it's just brutal. Like, it is absolutely brutal. And so, I mean, they did that over in Thailand for a long, long time. They moved here, he and his brother, and started a gym. So, like, all of my athletic training I started to do with them because it was kind of movement to the body. And when I was young, 9, 10, 11 years old, that's what's so important, is to be able to learn how to control your body when you fall and how to control your balance and your movement. So, like, we did a lot of that. That's how I started to get into Muay Thai, was with them. And I've always been fascinated growing up with like a single mom. You probably did the same, but like walking around the house, I'm always trying to wrestle my mom and stuff when I was little. So she takes me to a gym and she's like, get this kid away from me. I can't do this anymore.
Right? Yeah. Let him get it out somewhere else.
Yeah. So I started to do that with them, and I just loved it. And then they really started to get into jiu-jitsu, and Steve, the older brother, is now a black belt, and he's been on and off the #1 black belt in the world in his kind of his weight class, His name is Steve Hargett, Hargett. You guys can look him up, but he's just, he is a animal, and his brother Chris Hargett. But, when I would train with, and I don't mean to take over the conversation, but like when I would train with Chris, because Steve now is in Austin, Austin, Texas, so he trains with Tim Kennedy all the time.
Oh, wow, that's sick.
So they train, almost every day together in jiu-jitsu wise. So when I would roll with Chris is not a small guy, but he's maybe 180 pounds, I would think, and I'm about 6'2", on average 205 to 210. Mm-hmm. So like, I'm just like you, like we're bigger guys, we're strong, we know how to impose that because we played football, primarily defense, our whole life. Mm-hmm. So it's a lot of that. And there's a wrestling aspect there as well, learning how to tackle. So,
absolutely,
doing that, I'd roll with him, and what he told me, which was genius, is when you're starting out as a white belt, just survive. Like, just do that. Just survive, because you can't go on the offensive. Get them to go on the offensive. If you go on the offensive, it's just not going to work.
For sure.
And like, I'd roll with some of these smaller guys who were, 150 to maybe 170. And like, we would get in a certain position when I was starting out, and I could just bench you off of me, basically.
Right.
Like, I could easily get you off of me, but you do that for a while, especially when you're not in an actual match.
Done.
You're not in an actual match. And you're just rolling, like, that gets really tiring. And they're just, okay, cool. You move me back, and then I'm going to come back. And then he does it again.
I would be drenched in sweat, and these guys were not even breaking a sweat. They're just like toying with me the whole time.
Yeah, but man, how fun though, like grappling. It's just, oh my gosh, my brother and I, we did that the other day though. We started off jiu-jitsu. He was doing homework. I was like, let's take a 5-minute break, and we're doing like jiu-jitsu together. And
start rolling for an hour.
So it led to that. Have you seen like slap jiu-jitsu?
No. Oh, wait, I feel like I have. Yeah.
A guy will be like trying to pull guard, and he's on his back, and the other guy just comes wailing down with a slap to the face. It's like, what just happened? But it's like, that's kind of a different sport thing, whatever. And we were doing that, and then my brother and I were like, all right, now we can slap. So we're just slapping the crap out of each other. And it's funny because your adrenaline's going, so like, it doesn't actually hurt.
Yeah.
But I mean, you're getting slapped, and you get him in a certain position. He's just berating my face with the slap, and then I was like, okay, now we each get one glove. So we turn the gloves on,
Oh
and now
gosh.
we just get into like this. I mean, my shins are just full of bruises right now. But like we
Yeah.
just get into this, and about 2 minutes later, we get up and just drenched in sweat in this
Oh
room in the middle of a work day. But no, I mean it's awesome. But I mean, talk about being able, no matter who you are, getting into jiu-jitsu. Look at Zuck. Like, you look at the guy in the past. I mean, he's
Yeah,
kind
to
of
get back on topic here. Yeah. He's
he's
been
just
doing
kind of,
it for years though, right?
I think so. And I mean,
Yeah.
holy crap, dude, the
I think
guy.
around 5 years or so. That's what I've heard.
Yeah, and he's good. I mean, he does Muay Thai too. He's been
Yeah.
winning like tournaments in jiu-jitsu,
Mm-hmm.
which is cool. So
Yeah.
nonetheless, I mean, you can't say that guy has probably in practice never rolled with a big guy like Elon. Like, I'm sure
Right.
he has. So
I'm sure he has.
it'd
Yeah,
be interesting.
for sure.
I hope it happens though, and I think they're
I really
organizing it. Aren't they organizing it with Dana White?
So Dana White just flew out to Italy and
Yeah,
met with some heads of state out there. I don't know exactly what their positions were, um, and they were trying to work out a deal with actually using the Coliseum, which
yeah,
I think is absolutely insane. Like that would be kind of sick.
yeah,
The Coliseum hasn't been used for a battle in how many years, right? Like thousands, damn near.
yeah.
So to live in a lifetime, or live in a time where we can say we got to witness a battle, and I mean that's gonna get aired to the entire world.
Mm-hmm.
I think that would be cool.
Yeah, it for sure
Yeah.
would. I hope it happens.
I I'm skeptical. I could really see it going either way at this point.
Yeah.
I don't know, but those guys are so busy, but I think they would take the time to do this if it made sense for like their charities and whatnot, right?
Yeah. Well,
But
especially Elon. I mean, if you're going to talk about being busy, I mean,
oh my gosh, like
you
the
know,
guy literally has been working 20 hours a day for the last 30 years.
yeah, yeah.
But um, what you call it? I don't know. I think Zuck would come out on top. I think it would be an interesting, good fight, but basing it purely on it also depends on what kind of fighting they're going to be doing. If they're going to be, like straight MMA like we
Which I
watch.
think it would be.
Yeah, I mean, they'll beat each other up for sure, but I think Zuck would eventually come out on top on that.
Yeah, because it wouldn't make sense for it to be only a BJJ fight, because then you
Right.
only have one guy who knows, what he's doing. So,
Exactly. Yeah.
but I mean, Zuck was training with Adesanya,
Yeah.
Volkanovski. So cool. They're all.
But did you see who Elon was training with? GSP.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, I thought that
And
was so cool. I was like, of
yeah,
all people, that's like the best fit to put
and
GSP with
and do
Elon.
you know who GSP's jiu-jitsu coach was, or
Uh-uh.
is John Danaher, like the most famous jiu-jitsu coach
Really?
basically ever. You know Gordon Ryan? Do
Yeah,
you know who Gordon
he's
Ryan
like
is?
the current
Oh,
kid.
he's probably the best. I don't think you can even say probably. He
Is
is
he, is
the
he the big, huge dude with the beard?
Yeah,
Okay.
he's the best
Yeah.
jiu-jitsu athlete fighter
Crazy.
in the history of the sport. I mean,
Mhm.
it's unbelievable. But yeah, no, John Danaher was GSP's, coach, is his coach, and has been since, I think,
That's
a
awesome.
long time in his career. So it's cool, man. I hope it happens.
Speaking of GSP, did you know that for one, he has a partnership with Heart and Soil, which is Paul
Yep.
Saladino's supplement company, and he primarily eats animal-based diet.
I just learned about that recently. He
Yeah,
how old is he? He's in his 40s now.
40s, yeah,
See
somewhere
the
around
guy's
there.
body? I mean,
Dude, oh my God, it
crazy.
looks like he's made in a lab. Actually,
Yeah.
it's absurd.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he was an unbelievable fighter. Hearing him talk about fighting, I mean, I don't know if he was on, again, I'm naming a podcast that I don't remember what he was on, but he was on a
Mhm.
podcast, and he was talking about it, and like how much he disliked fighting his
Mhm.
entire career, like literally disliked it,
Yeah,
and how deathly afraid he was before all of his fights.
wasn't that was on JRE, right?
Yeah,
Joe.
it could have been.
I think it was.
on Rogan's. Yeah,
I'm pretty sure it was.
yeah, it could have been, but I mean, so interesting, the psychology of some of these people. But
Yeah,
yeah, he's a legend, that's for sure.
for sure.
Yeah.
What's his name? Paul, though. He's super fit too, and he's in his 40s, right?
He's a
Paul
stud.
Saladin. Yeah, that
He's a
guy's
stud.
pink. He just had. Do you know who Ben Patrick is? Knees over toe guy.
Yeah, I saw
He's
that.
had him on his
Didn't
podcast.
watch it.
It was really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, should check that out.
Yeah. No, I mean, I love it. We've talked about it before, but I love eating that way. I don't do the like the liver and all that stuff just because
Yeah.
number one, I've tried liver by itself, and it was literally awful.
Yeah.
And I haven't tried the supplements, but
If you really want to get it and eat it for some of the nutrients in it, personally, I would consider doing it raw if I lived in a situation like Paul, right? He knows exactly where it's coming from, the source.
yeah,
Like, he goes to the actual farms and talks to the farmer and sees them butchering and whatnot. And so, like, how fresh and good that stuff is,
mm-hmm.
versus where, if, me living here in Southern California, if I order it from somewhere, I have no idea where it's coming from. It could be half fake or, half
right,
barley fed or whatever it is. But, yeah, I think I'd have to live in Costa Rica or Texas and be super close to the farm and actually get that kind of stuff from them to give that a shot. But it is interesting, and I've wanted to try it. I actually ate a fish heart when
oh yeah,
I didn't eat it, but I think I told you we went fishing in Cabo when I was like 9. We caught a 200-pound marlin, and they butchered it right there on the boat. And dude, some of the best fish I've ever had. They literally were just cutting it off the fish and handing us pieces. Like, here,
so good,
taste it, right? Unbelievable. But then the guys that own the boat, the Mexican gentlemen, they were like, hey, we have a rule that someone has to take a bite out of the heart whenever we get a fish, when they have a newcomer on the boat.
mm-hmm.
And so everyone's sitting there like, I'm not doing it. And I'm like, I'll try it. So they pull this. It was interesting. Like, it was almost like a rectangle shape. And they pulled it out of this marlin, and I had to take a bite out of it. And it was gnarly.
My buddy Jack was just down in Cabo, and he did that.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Well,
I think that pretty much wraps us up for the day.
sounds good to me.
Unless you had anything else to add on this fine Saturday before we get bombarded by a hurricane.
Yeah, I know. No, I think I'm good. Yeah, I think I'm good.
Sounds good. Well, thank you everyone for joining us, and we'll see you next weekend.
All right. See ya.
Keep it shaking.
Yeah, not stirred.